This is the Left and Forgotten Borough podcast. I'm Andrew Savage.
And I'm Nancy Richards. And this is like this is like on the View, the Friday show. You recorded on Thursday, but it's really Friday.
Yeah,
So because
sort
we
of.
just recorded Mike DeCillis, and now we're
Yeah,
doing
we had our congressional candidate Mike DeCillis on. It was a really wide-ranging, really terrific conversation. That episode's going to be uploaded soon, but this one's going to be uploaded not long after that. And so, but there were a couple of local, national, and international stories that we definitely wanted to give some attention to and touch upon before we head into the weekend.
because there's always something to talk about when it comes
Always,
to politics.
always.
And that's what we like to do, talk politics.
Yes,
I have
well,
some friends who don't like to talk politics, but
yeah,
Andrew, you're my friend who likes to talk politics. So that's why we have a
yeah. Well,
podcast.
yeah, well, that's always what I say. Well, I don't, whenever somebody says I don't want to do politics, well, politics is doing you. If you're,
Absolutely.
yeah,
So,
politics is doing you. And, I think I think we should start out with definitely a local story here. Um,
yes,
and so this involves a lot of different moving parts. And so,
right.
and
And we're talking about it today because I was made aware of it today, but really this went on a few weeks ago.
Well, the
Like,
comment, well, just to before we get into the timeline, I feel like that Real Housewives episodes, receipts, proof, timeline, fucking everything. That's that meme from the Real Housewives. Um, so before we get into the, but yeah, before we get into the receipts, proof, timeline, all that, I just want to kind of preface this with the people involved. So the Young Democrats of Richmond County, who is a group that we like. We've had a lot of members of the current membership of the Young Dems on this podcast, James Ho being the most recent from last week. Um,
uh-huh.
and they made a post, I believe, I want to say maybe in mid-April, and I think it was just something like, "Oh, great turnout, whatever," at the Young Dems meeting. And I believe what they did was they tagged their location, and their location was at Jody's Club Forest. Jody's Club Forest is a local spot here in Staten Island on the North Shore. It's a local hub for a lot of Democratic clubs. When I was president of the Young Democrats, we hosted our meetings regularly there every single month. Um, Although now I think the Young Dems kind of bounce around to different places, but this particular month they were at Jody's. And so,
And it's a Democratic club meeting spot for decades. Like that's where the Jerome O'Donnell, that's where they hold the breakfast for the St. Patrick's Day parade.
yeah,
It's been around,
yeah.
yeah.
And so, there's a lot of little feuds here going on. Speaking of the housewives, so Councilwoman Camilla Hanks, who is somebody who's a friend of this podcast, who we've had on this podcast before, um, she has a gripe with the Young Dems because the Young Dems endorsed her opponent, at least initially in the general election cycle. And so she commented on the post.
Oh, I didn't know that part of the story.
Yeah, they endorsed Sarah Glass.
Oh, okay, I
And
didn't know that.
yeah, in the general election, it caused a big stir. And
Okay.
so they endorsed Sarah Glass, not to mention Aiden Rivera, who's the current
I I
Dem.
thought John Shea. That's what I thought you meant.
No,
And I'm like,
no, no,
what?
no, 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 no,
Okay.
no. They endorsed Sarah
All
Glass,
right. Okay. For the
and then
primary.
Aiden Rivera also ran for this council seat many times and was an opponent of Camila Hanks, and um, so the MAGAs were trolling the Young Dems on this post because they tagged Jody's as their location. So anybody who follows Jody's, I guess, could see that they were meeting there. And um, Councilwoman Hanks posted a comment. She kind of joined in on the post on the thread saying the food is awful there, meaning at Jody's.
She didn't start off with
Yeah.
that.
No,
Did
she
she?
did. No, she did. She said the food is awful. The
Want me to
owner,
read it?
yeah, she said the food is awful. The owner hates these kids and he just takes their money. And that I'm paraphrasing, but that's
Yeah.
the order that I remember it in. And so I wanted you, because my take is a little bit longer on this, Nancy. So I wanted you to give your take on this.
Well,
And there's a lot of things with Jody's and Councilman Hanks too. They hung a sign for her opponent, which, anybody is allowed to do. You could support whoever you want. But I wanted you to weigh in first because my take is a little bit more nuanced.
um, that's not how she opens it though. She kind of says, "Okay, I'll bite." Jody's
No,
is a
that was
forest
later.
ever.
That was
Yes,
no,
she said. Oh, well,
that
this is what I
no, that
had.
was later. The one I remember that came first. Then this one was in response to
So,
Terrence's
well,
post.
she kind of said, talking about how it being an institution for a long, but however, um, and then she goes into how she doesn't feel Jody's is, I don't know how she says here. It says, however, in my 2025 election, you chose totally your privilege to hang Republican signs in your window. So she was upset over that, which I can understand. I always saw Jody's as the Democratic Club meeting place. Now, I know a lot of people that hang out there are conservative and may not necessarily be a Democrat, but the establishment has always been a place where Democrats held their meetings. So I think that is a slight to the Democrat running for city council to have a Republican sign in their window. So I can understand why she would be pissed at that. Um, and then she goes on about the Young Dems, how screaming against Republican opponents. So it is curious to me that you and your business they promote Republicans running, including John. Kind of like it seems like why would the Young Dems spend their money here if they're putting Republican signs in the windows and they're having MAGA people, yelling at them. And then she starts mentioning about and the food's not that great, which I was like, oh, that's, a slight, and then goes into how it seems to be um if you don't like the Democratic politics, but you like their money, the J. O'Donovan St. Patrick's Day breakfast is there, or is it that you don't support non-Irish, and then goes in how are the Democrat candidates, you do support some Democratic candidates, um and so there's a slight in the fact that you obviously think she's, you could see that she's pissed that they didn't support her and
Actually, well, I'm just looking. There's been an article published in the
in the
Advent.
advance.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Do we want to read that first before we continue talking, or
Uh, no, I think,
because there's going to be more talked about it then I guess if it's in the advance
yeah.
tomorrow.
Well, we can, and we'll attach the article to our show notes. And so, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
But so in my essence of after reading, because at first when someone told me what happened, I was like, what? And then I read it and I was like, oh, that's not a good look. I don't think that was a good move on her part. But I do understand her sentiment. Like I kind of can understand where she's upset at Jody's. Um, but I don't understand why she made that comment where she did. I don't think that was a good move. I understand why she's pissed off, but I didn't quite understand why she made those comments. And the food, I thought that was kind of cold. I was like, ooh, like I just like cringed when she said that. I was like, that's not good. And because I know she goes there a lot. Like
Yeah.
last time I saw her, she was talking about Paul, and they were talking about that they were out in Jody's, So, and she actually says she frequented that place a lot. And so, and she's the councilwoman that these kind of comments are going to cause tension. There's gonna
Yeah.
be a little beef now. It's
Oh,
it's gonna,
yeah.
what's gonna happen St. Patrick's Day? She's not gonna go in for breakfast.
Well, here's my take on this. So I have a couple of different things on this. So number one, I respect Councilwoman Hanks. I voted for her. I've
She's
supported
a,
her.
she does a
Yeah,
great job.
I've supported her. I've voted for her in the past. Um, However, I think this is beneath her.
Yeah,
I think this is beneath her. And I also I live in the neighborhood where Jody's is, and I adore Terrence Haggerty. And I have known Terrence Haggerty for about 15 years. When I was president of the Young Dems, he was nothing but hospitable and welcoming to us. Uh, as we were there, as we hosted our meetings there back then every single month. Um, and Terrence is somebody who never asked my politics. I never asked his, although he could infer I was there for the Young Dems. But
Well,
um,
you have a young gems thing there that
no, I
I don't
know, but
quite
he
understand.
never. But even now, I haven't been a Young Dem for many years. But I go to Jody's regularly, and we never discuss that kind of thing. But I would say also, I think he may have supported Republicans in the past, but he's also supported Democrats. He is supporting Jessica Scarcella Stanton currently for state senate.
Okay, that
He has supported Mike McMahon. He has supported all. I'm
she
just
does
naming.
mention that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that people's political takes are not always as binary or as sorted as perhaps social media and the online world makes us seem. And so I would also point out that Terrence Haggerty, you mentioned the Jerome Donovan O'Donovan breakfast, when the Ancient Order of Hibernians was fighting with the Pride Center about them being visible in the St. Patrick's Day parade, Terrence Haggerty shut down that breakfast as a means to bring them to the table to change that policy. And so, I'll always remember that too. And as far as the only reason I wanted to talk about this, really, it's kind of an interesting local story. It's a feud that, kind of has spilled out into the public on many dimensions. But
And we like our tea here. We
oh,
like our tea
we do like our
or
tea.
coffee
But I
or
also,
now our iced coffee.
yes, I love my iced coffee. But as far as the significance politically of this story, I thought it was really important. And the reason is because the people who Democrats lost in 2024 to Donald Trump are Terrence Haggerty, people who look like him, people who own their small businesses, who contribute a great deal to the community, people who a lot of people know. And they didn't feel like Democrats were speaking to them. And in fact, they felt like Democrats were looking down on them in many ways. And so those are the kind, and they were men of Terrence's age and maybe younger, and younger. We know that for certain. And so I think right now the polling has shown Donald Trump is uh, as the least popular as he's ever been, and that represents an opportunity for Democrats to, because you're never going to get the cults, the real diehard
No,
cultists, but you
but a lot
will
of that
get.
cult is on Forest Avenue these days.
But that's not Terrence Haggerty. That's
Right.
not.
No, it's not.
And so but you will, you are not going to get the people who peeled away from Democrats to go to Donald Trump by calling them, you know, irredeemable, stupid rubes who don't make good food. You're just not going to do that. And it hasn't been successful for us. And I think Councilwoman Hanks should really uh, think about perhaps sitting down for a meeting to talk with Terrence uh, and perhaps hashing this out.
Like
Um,
you're like what do you know?
Obama's beer summit with Henry Louis Gates.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah,
maybe
I think that needs to
we can have a
happen.
chick parm summit. We can have a beer and a chick parm.
I want Mary Jane wings if I'm going to Jody.
Okay. All right.
And
Mary
so
Jane wings with chick parm.
yeah, so if I think that needs to happen. I think the feuding is sort of beneath her. I think it's needless, and I also think it's a terrible look for Democrats.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm afraid is going to happen. I'm afraid this is going to become a Holterman's Bakery thing. And though it will be, I don't, and I know that it helped their business,
Yeah,
but I see it as a feeding frenzy for
Well,
Um,
that's my fear about it is what I've described, and I've seen in the comments on Terrence's post. Terrence did respond to her comments, and on Facebook, and he put something out there, and I've seen it already in the comments where people were like, "Well, this is what Democrats think of, ordinary people. This is what the Democrats think of you. They look down on you. They
yeah, you
yeah,
read that?
yeah,
Yeah.
I've
So
seen that. Yeah. And that was precisely my
I was
fear.
just reading people just saying, no, the food's good. I've eaten there. I like the food. Food's
Oh
always
no,
good.
there's
Like,
but yeah, it's like there's a ton of comments on it, but there's a you have to really do a deep dive, but there's a lot of those. And so I was fearful
but
of that.
those are the, yeah, yeah,
I
those are
was
the people
fearful.
we don't want to feed, you know.
No, so I think,
Yeah,
this
I think it was a stupid move.
yeah.
I understand her like, and for those who and like I said to you earlier, I think there are certain subjects that I understand her sentiment. I understand why she probably was pissed. Not because, like, you know, it's known as for their events, and having a Republican in the window and has a right to do whatever he wants, okay, or the club. So, but I understand her sentiment, but I think that wasn't a good move. I think maybe she probably thinks that too. And
I hope
sometimes
so.
we knee jerk and we're like, oh, why did
And
she
I'm
was
no
probably angry and made a stupid decision. So
yeah, I think
I'm hoping it doesn't ruin because she does good for city council and she's the whip. So
yeah, I'm hoping that this resolves itself. I did comment on Terrence's post, and I wanted to comment, and I saw a few of us commented, myself, former Young Dems president Mike Schnall, Aiden commented, and I think it was important that we did because, and to express our support for Jody's because um, I didn't want people to think, that Democrats, are elitist and look down on them and, sort of, you have this elected official from their
I
perch.
don't think that's what she was
commenting.
doing, though. She wasn't being an elitist and looking
I
down
know,
on
but
them.
that's how it,
I
no,
think
but
she was, I think she was angry. I
that's
don't believe
where
that.
that's where she's coming from. But I'm telling you, the perception will be this elitist Democrat is looking down on us. This is what
Okay.
they all think of us. This is going to be, and if it snowballs enough, it could be her basket of deplorables. It could be her basket of deplorables.
All
Uh,
right. Well,
and so I'm hoping that that is not what happens. And I'm hoping that in a year where Democrats are supposed to do really well, and in a year where we have an opportunity as a party nationally, locally, we were just talking to Mike DeSillis, who's running for Congress here. What my hope is that we can get those people who at the last second said, well, my life was better when Donald Trump was president. The first time I'm going to vote for him. I want those people back. I want
well,
those people back, and calling them stupid, irredeemable rubes who don't make good food is not the way to do it.
okay. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, let's focus on people who are actually doing real damage to those people that we're trying to bring back into the party. She said something stupid, and I hope people will see that what she does more for the district is, we all say stupid shit. So
Oh, I'm known to be quite cunty
yeah, yeah, yeah,
oftentimes.
we both are. So um, yeah, so
And we'll be happy to arrange any summits.
yes, we'll arrange a Mary Jane summit.
Yes, we'll do it.
We'll do that. So
Yeah,
that will be fine. Um, but anyhow, well, let's hope for the best, okay? Because
yeah.
there's, I mean, in the grander scheme of things, we have a real crisis in this country, and we need people to put forth policies that are going to help working class people, and so stuff like this, we're frustrated, we're angry, you know what I mean, and We say and do stupid things.
Yeah.
So, um, and where that comes from, it comes from a lot of different places. Some things, it comes from places where you simply don't understand because you don't have that history and you don't come from that history. Um, and and sometimes people make assumptions about the type of people, so this is where you need to kind of come together and say, look, we have a bigger issue here. And and then work on that. And chick parm is still good though. I like
I do. Well,
I like the chick
listen,
parm.
Terrence actually came to my apartment door so many times during the pandemic because I was ordering my Mary Jane wings every
I
Friday.
remember we used to talk on Fridays and used to get
We
wings.
did.
Yeah.
We did. We used to do like our Zoom happy hours, and that was where
Yep.
most of the time my food came from.
Yep. And it came from there. So
Yeah.
I unfortunately do not live near Forest Area where I can walk to everything and have, the owner come and deliver my Mary Jane wings.
And
I
it was funny. He was like, "Oh, you live here? It's you?" I was
I
like,
get a
"Yes."
good bologna sandwich at the deli up the street. That's the extent of my restaurant
Oh no, I
things
go.
around my neighborhood.
Oh, well,
Um,
listen, I frequent my bodega too. Believe me.
oh, you know what I found out this week? That a bodega in Mexico is not a store. A
No.
bodega, because a bodega in a condo, the storage units in a
Yeah.
condo, like storage units are called bodegas.
Oh,
So,
okay.
I was I was looking at a condo and someone's like, "Oh, this one comes with two bodegas." I go, "Excuse me? Comes with two stores? There's a deli? There's a
Where? I would
deli,
love that. Yeah, sign me up. Where do I
And I'm
sign?
like, and then they're like, "No, there's storage units." I'm like, "Oh, I did not know that." I said a bodega in New York City is a corner store. So, and they didn't know that either. So there you
Yeah.
go. But anyhow, speaking of country world, I was in Mexico. Um, And when the World Cup started, so I got to see Mexico open the World Cup, and we're having. I kind of like the idea, don't like the idea. I mean, well, first of all, before I ask, how big of a World Cup person are you?
Not at all.
Okay, all right. So I'm I'm slightly. I like the World Cup. I went to it in '94. I don't watch. I'm a Red Bulls fan, so I like going to the games. I follow some of the New England. I mean the England teams. In Ireland, I like Irish football. Um, so I'm a slightly a little bit, but I'm not a fan like every Sunday, like on the TV. But I like the World Cup. I like what it does. I like the fact that it really brings the world together in a way that no other sport does, except the Knicks today. But so when I was in Mexico, it was just great to be in Mexico, and I liked the idea that the North America is sponsoring the World Cup, and I liked that the three countries of North America are sponsoring it. But from a fan perspective, that's a lot of places to cover. Like, like if, England's playing in Kansas City and then they're going to Boston and you're from England, it's you have to like there's big jokes like in England like that people are like taking their pensions and spending it to like
Well,
just go to the World Cup,
the only thing that I know somewhat about this World Cup is that people are rooting against South Africa, and I guess for all the obvious reasons.
Really?
Yeah,
I
that's
didn't hear that.
I've seen that here and there, but you can't go by me.
Why
Each
are they
time
rooting it for what obvious reasons? I don't know what the
well, I
obvious.
thought, the Afrikaners, that kind of thing. But I was thinking that only because I saw some sports memes that seemed to dunk on South Africa.
Oh, because I've been watching Daily Show from South Africa. Why am I forgetting his name?
Oh, Trevor Noah?
Trevor Noah. He's doing a daily commentary thing that's really funny, and he's wearing his South Africa. He's from South Africa. I didn't
Yeah.
realize that people were rooting against them. Um, they're called Babala. I don't know, guy. They were talking about all the nicknames. This is where my expertise dies. But um, but one of the things that I'm kind of disappointed is the United States government hasn't really been the best ambassador, like in regards to like denying visas for there was a coach from Somali, believe it was
Oh,
Somali,
well, that's all you needed to say. I mean,
but
that
he was
was,
like, like he was not a coach, a referee, and he was denied entry, what they were doing with the Iranian team, with where they had to stay. Um, I would have, like, if that was the case, if I was FIFA, I'd be like, sorry, not having the World Cup here if you can't behave. Though I have to say, I've been seeing a lot of stuff from the United States fans, and they have been good ambassadors for people coming and, coming to the World Cup. So, and, and then, of course, we're New Yorkers. We all come from somewhere, so I'm happy to see Norway in it. And Norway they have like this funny row, and um, so it's good. It was nice. So my friend who's from Ecuador, he was watching his, and my neighbors they had their Ecuador flag hanging out. And Scotland, Rod Stewart was bringing his kids, and there's a guy making Legos with all of the planes. So I just love it. I just love how the world's coming together. People make predictions on who's going to win. Of course, you know how much I'm a big Ted Lasso fan, and
yeah.
they're making their Beard's having this daily commentary. But I just like what the World Cup represents. I don't like what FIFA represents, though, in regards to how much ticket prices and charging, and like $100 round trip train from the city to go to the Meadowlands, the access to getting there. The access I don't like. And I really applaud our mayor for making things for people who your internet connection is unstable. Can you hear me? Um, I
I
really
can,
applaud him for really doing things for New York City for people like I can't afford a ticket. I could afford one in 94. It was much cheaper. I went
yeah.
to one game, but and but the watch parties, I'm going to the watch party at the Ferry Hawks. We got free tickets. So, we'll be together doing the watch parties. I like the lottery that he made to help get people $50 tickets. I did that every day. I got in once. And so I got a lot lottery, but I didn't win, but still, like, it was an opportunity to get something. So I applaud him for that, and kind of helping us be included, even though we were priced out of the World Cup.
Well, FIFA I
Uh,
have a problem with because I have a problem with FIFA because they stoked Donald Trump's ego by giving him a fake prize.
yeah.
And so I have a problem with them there because they're just sort of obeying in advance and giving the dear leader his trinkets. So, fuck them.
Yeah, there's a lot of things FIFA has done in the past I'm not crazy about. But I like the World Cup in itself, and I like what it
And
represents.
well, I was jealous because I saw you on your trip and you found like this looked like this nice little hole in the wall bar to watch the Knicks and I loved it.
So I had to watch the Knicks because all of a sudden I realized I'm leaving. I go, oh my God, the Knicks are in the finals, and I'm gonna be in Mexico. I'm like, damn, like what am I gonna do? So Ilya drove around, and I we went to the one sports bar, and it was closed on a Monday. And so then we drove by this other place. It was kind of a pizzeria, like a small little, and I saw a TV on, and I saw a little tiny bar, and I pulled in and said, "Can you get the Knicks game on?" And they were kind of like, "What?" And then we realized it was on Amazon Prime. And so because it was on Amazon Prime, it came on. And I was the only one in there. He was kind of and then all of a sudden we put the game on, and then this guy in the marina, well, actually all the expats started from. We had like 20 people in the bar eventually, and we were watching the game. It was very, I was like, yay. And then he opened the bar for us Wednesday so we could watch it Wednesday, and we went back. And then I was home Saturday, so I watched the finals here. So I was very excited to be home. And today,
Yeah.
as you can see, I'm wearing because
That was probably, I would say the Knicks were probably the one, I would say the Knicks were probably the one sporting game thing. I'm gay. I don't do this stuff, but like, but there was the one sporting thing that I've watched like most consistently, and I will note that the only game they lost, fucking Donald Trump was there, and so
exactly.
and
He
so
ruined our juju.
he ruined it. Everything he touches turns to shit. Probably like the one
Not to
like
gold.
what's in
So
his diaper. But um
I
it
was
was
so mad.
well the best I think the person who had the opposite impact of Trump was who I adored and loved seeing at courtside was Mariska Hargitay. And
Yeah.
she was really just kind of bringing the good vibe. She was cheering. I loved the memes afterwards when she was there with Taylor Swift. And she
Yes. Some
and
people were
she
Taylor Swift hating. I'm like, oh, come on.
no, no, it was funny. Well, Taylor Swift was like cheering, and then Mariska Hargitay had been cheering all night, and she's like fainting in her arm. I loved it. I loved that she was there, and I made a post. It was funny because one of the nights she was there with Chris Maloney, who was her Law and Order SVU
Yeah, they were
partner,
there
detective.
together. Yeah.
And I was like, and that was the same night Trump was there. And I was
I
like, oh,
love
Benson,
him.
I was like, Benson and Stabler. I think there's somebody guilty of especially heinous sexually based offenses there. You
I
have to
saw
go
that. That
and
was good.
you have to go
That
and
was
see
good.
it. You have to go
That
and
was
see.
great. Well, I was very happy for the fans. And then when you talk about like the super fans, like Marissa, she's always there, and Spike Lee. In fact, when I went to see his show at the Brooklyn Museum when they had a show on Spike Lee, there's a whole section about his relationship with the Knicks.
Yeah,
And I
you never
remember
him.
years ago there was this antagonism with a guy from Cleveland. I forgot. And so he's been a diehard fan. Like so, and he's not the only one. So it's 53 years. People have been watching the Knicks for forever. I remember once I went to it. My favorite Knicks story is I went to a game with this guy that I was dating, and we had tickets and we were going in, and I was looking at the ticket booth, and there were tickets available for a team I really wanted to see, which I thought were sold out. And so this guy comes up to us and he goes, "Do you want tickets?" And I'm like, "No." I go, "We're okay, thanks." And he goes, "No, I don't think you understand." He goes, "I have tickets." And I go, "No, no, we're good." And he goes, "No, I'm going to give you tickets. I'm a," so he goes, "I'm a philanthropist." And the guy that I was dating at the time was like, "What's that?" I go, "It's a good thing."
Where are I wanted a philanthropist. I want to sit courtside
Yeah.
near
So
Mariska
the guy gave
Hargitay.
us tickets. And so so he goes, "We should sell ours." I go, "No." I go, "Because if these are fake," I go, "I'm gonna be pissed." So we go in and the tickets were good. And we were like second, third row from court. We were courtside. We weren't on the first row, but we were courtside. It was like I was watching John Starks, like that was the when John Starks and
I
Ewing were on
remember
the
him.
team.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, like it was like watching him in the schoolyard. It was amazing. It was my favorite Nick story. And then when we were leaving, we got to exit through the famous people exit. And I went to use the bathroom, and somebody thought that he was a famous rapper. He had this long coat on, and he had like a little crowd around him. And I was like, like I was a little more worried. And he's like, "No, they thought I was this somebody." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, I wanted to watch these games because, and well, number one, like I said, I'm totally ignorant as far as sports is concerned. So when they won that initial first game, I told you when I dropped you off at the airport, I was like, I thought that was it. I was like, okay, this is it. And they were like, no, there has to be more. And I'm
Oh,
like,
there's more.
and I was like, I had the millennial urge for instant gratification.
Yeah.
I wanted that, and then and it was, but I enjoyed it. And we New York, especially, I think in the country, that we just kind of need something good. The last decade has been such shit.
Yeah.
It's
And I have to say, this Nick team, like all of them, are
Mhm.
good guys. Like when we have this shit ass asshole who it does not set an example for anything good,
No,
president. It's so nice to see guys like this represent like a true leaders. Like even though like they're on a sports team, but they show what leadership really is all about. They show about like putting in the work, you know, being the good guy,
collaboration,
playing,
collaboration.
yeah.
I,
And
I, I think, we were talking about young men before. I would say
yeah.
this is a really this Knicks team is a really positive role model
When
for
we
young
talk
men.
about like, yeah, who
Yeah.
sets an example for young men these
Hmm.
days? Like, you look at all like those boy like talk groups and like these are young men that, I'm so happy that are getting, getting the limelight because these are the men that we should look up to. These are the men that are doing the right thing. And they're
Yeah,
good guys off the court, you know.
yeah,
They all have great stories
I
and
would Yeah, I would prefer, I would hope that young men are looking up to people like Jalen Bronson. And so they're steered away from people like Elon Musk and Donald Trump
yeah,
and Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson and all of these toxic influences in the manosphere. And
he took less.
it was a good side by side to have the Knicks being who they are versus, that toxic masculine, probably secretly gay wrestling match at the White House.
Yeah.
And so I think that was a really telling side by
Oh,
side. That
yeah.
was just,
Well, let's just touch on that briefly, that wrestling match. Now I heard from a sporting point of view, like it was a good wrestling match, but that was about, the aspect of, I also heard that the UFC paid for most of it. I was listening to Steven Smith a little bit. I listen to him and then he pisses me off and then he doesn't like sometimes. But I was listening to his commentary and he's a sports commentator. So, um, but then, the the guy who won the heavyweight and then says that thing about Michelle Obama, which I'm not going to
yeah.
repeat.
Well, that's
Like
oh,
why? Why did you need to say that? Like, did
well,
someone
especially
talk about Michelle? No. Like,
no, well, it was a way to get laughs. And you know what? If you're thinking about trans this and gay stuff, I really want to see that guy's search history on his computer because there's very likely some gay shit going on in his closet. And
well, there's
and
been some backlash because like Joe Rogan, who was emceeing, like, people were pissed
oh,
at him because he
his
didn't.
little 8-year-old boy tie.
Yeah, and the
His little 8-year-old boy tie,
Nate
his alfalfa tie.
Bargatze got some backlash. Nate Bargatze, like, he's like the golden retriever of stand-up comedians. He's getting backlash for playing like dumb. Like nobody, like you didn't hear the people at that event make public statements against what was said, which pissed me off a lot. Like don't laugh at like
Well, no, it
that
was
is not
there's
a
a
good thing to say.
Well, there's a whole lot of phobias and isms in that. Um, you know, there's certainly transphobia in that. There's a lot of misogyny there. There's certainly a lot of homophobia there. And I think, that is a representation of the kind of toxic masculinity that people need to avoid at all costs. It is something, it's a rabbit hole of just solitude and violence and resentment and hatred. And they really need to avoid going down that rabbit hole and really look to the more positive role models like the Knicks.
Like the Knicks. And so today we had our day. I think, you know, I even thought like too many people showed up, so they had to turn some people away. I thought that was, and I handled well, and it was a good day. It was a good day for New York. I think New York is setting a good example, for leadership, looking at the mayor, and then
I Yeah, well,
looking at the Knicks.
I heard the Knicks because of their owner Dolan. He had I originally thought that they rejected the White House invite, but no, it turns out Dolan accepted it for them. And so, because that's the owner of the team, and he was the one actually who invited Trump to the game they lost. And
Right.
I'm hoping that some of the individual players just say, fuck that, I'm not going to go. And and even if they do go, let's see if he could stay awake for more than 5 minutes.
Well, I I wonder about, so I always think about that. If not that I'm ever going to be like a a NBA champion or, Super Bowl champion or World Series champion, but I always wonder, like, if you win the World Series or the NBA championship and it's under the presidency of the person you didn't vote for, like, do you still go to the White House? Like, I still want to see the White House because it's kind of hard to get in there.
Yeah.
Um, but with that said, I the I going to the White House now is not just about seeing the White House and taking a photograph with the guy who's in office. It feels now going to the White House kind of endorses,
It's a form of capitulation.
yeah. And so I don't know. We'll see what happens. So I hope
Yeah,
they don't go.
it seems, like a form of capitulation, although there used to be a time where you could do that. I don't think, I
And I
don't
think Jim Dolan has a good relationship. Like I heard Jalen Brunson thank Jim Dolan for believing in him and so there must be a good relationship there. I'm not
Oh, I'm
positive,
sure, but
but
he's also, a fascist collaborator. Like
yeah.
so
So we'll
I
see.
don't so we don't like fascist collaborators.
But
Um
yeah, so I don't know, that's a tough decision. So we'll see what happens.
yeah.
But so good day for the Knicks. I don't know about the wrestling. World Cup is going on. All it's funny, my first street, but
Oh, you're cutting
video.
in and out.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, you're okay. Now can you see it? So,
Hmm.
um, so I'm sitting in my car last night and they have the game on and I could watch it from my car because their TV is so big and they haven't put any curtains on the window yet. And I just thought, well, this is interesting. This is a new peeping Tom kind of thing. Um,
Well,
but
yeah, well, I was going to say about just one last thing about the Knicks, but what I think was really also kind of what made a lot of people feel good about them winning is just kind of how it all happened. It seemed like in every game they started off down and then they kind of came roaring back, and
yeah,
so I think that was,
Captain Clutch, that was
yeah,
Jalen Bronson's nickname.
yeah, because I think it was, really good. I think that was, I think, a shot in the arm that people needed after, 10 years of just autocratic fascist dysfunction.
Yeah. It's it's great. The city came together. I know a lot of people keep saying that, and it's true. It I that was the only time I like. I mean, I went out to go watch the game. But I would have really liked to have been like on one of those block parties in the city. But
Yeah.
I had literally just landed and like dropped my bags and then went to a bar and met a few people to watch the game. So, but I would have liked to have been on one of those those looks magical. And that's the one thing I was like, that's great about New York. But it was also great to be in Mexico and get the TV on and then people just coming in and going, "Oh, the Nick game's
This
on." And
bar. That was a cute bar, at least from what I
yeah.
saw, but it was cute.
Yeah, it was. It was cute. And I have to say, he made one of the best margaritas I ever had. And I know I'm in Mexico, but I was talking to someone who lives in Mexico, and they're like, you don't necessarily find a good margarita just because you're in Mexico. So he did. He made, and I videotaped him. He used fresh limes, who I
Mhm.
found out that limes are called lemons. So
Limons, yes.
limons, yeah. So
Oh, mhm.
I learned a few things. So sports wise, it's been a great week. So it's been a really great week. Um, and
And then we have total surrender of the United States to Iran. Uh,
uh-huh.
for the last few days, Donald Trump signed an agreement in Versailles, of all places, uh, where we are giving
Right, he
Iran,
did. Yeah, that was in Versailles. You see,
we're
I
giving,
wonder what they say to him behind his back. I'm sorry. I know you're in the thought. Just out of
yeah, and well, we are giving Iran just for the terms of this deal, we are giving them $300 billion for to repair the damage that we caused. There's no guarantee that the Strait of Hormuz will go operated without tolls, even though they didn't have tolls at the beginning.
yeah.
And overall, the United States and our allies and the people in the region are worse off than what they were when this all started. And all of the explanations, which are incoherent and I believe designed to confuse, to cause confusion, have fallen through. At first, we heard it was about regime change. Well, they only took the head of the regime out, and now it's an even younger, more hardline regime in place. They've not received any commitments at all as it relates to the nuclear program, not nearly the kind that Barack Obama got in the JCPOA.
That
And
must be
so,
killing him.
oh yeah, and this is a total embarrassing, humiliating surrender. It is a surrender. The United States lost this war.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really see it as it's over just yet, but this deal um that they apparently made is not is a win for Iran. So and I mean, because of this move, they realized their strength and
They
they held
did.
out. They held out. They're strategically where they are, enabled them to, well, this is our strong point. And, you know,
Yeah,
so
they realized their leverage with the Strait of Hormuz, and
so the
uh,
man who's the art of the deal didn't make
yeah,
a good one. He did not
yeah.
make a good one.
No, he didn't make a good one, and in fact, it resembles a lot of his casinos that have fallen apart and gone bankrupt and have, stiffed his workers and everything else. And Hillary Clinton actually said, she was giving a talk somewhere, and she said the pressure when she was Secretary of State under the first term of Obama, the pressure from Israel to engage in a military conflict with Iran was enormous. And like, she said that Bibi went as far as to say to her, well, our planes are on the tarmac. And she was like, well, okay, well, we're not going to, what do you want from us? We're not going to do that. And part of the reason she said that is because, every war game that they mapped out had them closing the Strait of Hormuz and had
Yeah.
ships being attacked through the Strait of Hormuz. And so this was something that anybody with kind of a sixth grade knowledge of world history could have told you would have happened if this kind of conflict were to be engaged in.
Yeah. And then now I'm reading here that Israel is kind of like they don't like the deal either.
Well,
So
Israel
they're
doesn't like.
seeing it as being as catastrophic.
Yeah,
So,
well, I don't think in this case, I don't think Israel's interests are aligned with the United States. I don't believe it is within our interest to be in a long Middle Eastern drawn out conflict. They want us in this war. They've been trying for 40
well,
years
of course they
to get
do.
us.
So,
And so, but I don't think our interests are aligned and they should fight their own wars.
yeah,
Why do we have to send billions of taxpayer dollars over there for them to fight? Why do we have to send our people over there to die or to be injured or to kill civilians? So that should not even be an option for us at this
there's
point.
so my defense of Israel is we should defend Israel in maintaining its sovereignty. I believe that. But I don't believe we should be helping Israel expand itself. Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like
no,
the
we
issue
shouldn't.
with Gaza, the issue
No,
with Lebanon. Like Israel says that they're inside Lebanon to protect the walls, but people argue that they're inside because they're going to eventually, they're like
it's
creeping
greater
up more and more. Eventually, that'll be the border.
it's the Greater Israel Project. They're looking
Yeah,
to expand, and
I'm
then
not in favor of that.
no.
You know,
Well, that's their version of, Lebensraum or Manifest Destiny or whatever you want to call it.
manifest destiny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
and I think that's what they want to accomplish, but I think that it's up to the people of the region to decide what they want and how they want to deal with that. I don't believe it's in the United States' interest to be doing that at all. And I think we need to pull out and, I anticipate, that Donald Trump will now turn his attention back to Greenland potentially, or to Cuba,
Oh,
to
Cuba.
try and because he believes that his ventures in the Western Hemisphere have been more successful. This was a total debacle in Iran. This
Mm.
and so I think he's going to go to those places because he can has more leverage over them.
Why doesn't he focus on the United States, like getting prices down, you
Because he
know,
doesn't give a shit about that.
because he can afford, because he's making billions. I'm not making billions, but he sure is. So anyway, so not a good day for American foreign policy. So when I I jumped in really quick and said I wonder what they say behind his back. Like he's at this summit now, and like Hegseth was just there berating like the European countries, saying, fuck you for well, he didn't say fuck you, but I said fuck you,
Yeah.
for uh, not helping us out. You're NATO, you're supposed to help us out. Well, Pete Hegseth, hello, before you invade a country, if you want NATO's, um, you got to read the charter. You guys have to come together on it first. You know what I mean?
Our
You,
booking Article 5 means we have to be attacked.
yeah.
And they did not
So,
attack us.
right. Or if we're going to have a strategy, like you include the rest of, it doesn't work where you get to do what you want and then we have to help you out. It's, we have to discuss it first. It like the whole thing with Afghanistan, like bringing, that was a effort, a concerted effort because, they came together on it. So he just makes me laugh how he just walks in there like, this, idiot and says, I don't know if we're going to keep our troops there anymore. And now that, he gets them, they do benefit from the US being there, you know,
They,
militarily.
they do, but he's just, Pete Hegseth. He's a little soy boy who couldn't even do a bench press the other day.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, he's berating and ridiculing fat soldiers. And he can't even do a pull-up or a or a
Yeah.
chest press.
Well, I don't know. I didn't, why did he fail on a chest press?
He tried, and it was an epic fail.
Oh, that
It was quite amusing to
really?
watch because he's such a I was going to use a word I shouldn't, but
Well, I just wonder, like, the US is a very, like, is an important country to Europe. And, like, just talking to my friends in Europe, they're concerned because what we do impacts them. You know what I mean? So, but the fact that Trump walks around, like, knowing that, and then he thinks he can kind of mess around with them, and then expects them to be good, like they still have principles, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like
Well, for him, everything's a transaction, and
so
so
if
that's
any yeah,
why
so if anything, he's forced Europeans to say, look, we need to be more united with us because I don't know how much we can, count on the United States, which unfortunately is, when the next president, if the next president comes along, has to undo all of that, you know, damage.
yeah. And I think you know I think that we have to rethink just how we are engaging in these conflicts because one of the things I spoke about last week with James when he came on and a very common thread in a lot of these other New York primaries in New York City, whether it's Congressional District 10 between Brad Lander and Dan Goldman or uh, the one up in Harlem and CD 13 or in Brooklyn they are APAC has been a real factor in those primaries, and part of the reason is because APAC is the American Israeli Political Action Committee, and essentially they're the people who are influencing members of the government, Congress, everything else, and so they are the ones who are really pushing for the United States to be involved in these wars, which are making American
Or take
lives more difficult and expensive.
who are now taking a little political hit because a lot of campaigns now are mentioning whether they support APAC or not.
Yeah, they have to disavow them. at this
Yeah.
point.
So
They have
good.
to, yeah, they have to disavow them, and so I think we really need to rethink our relationships. I think putting money into Ukraine to fight Vladimir Putin is a worthy cause. I think because I think if you give up on that, you are opening the door to him potentially going after the rest of Europe.
Yeah.
And so you really need to stop that. It's in the United States' interest to stop that. It is not in our interest to get into a quagmire in the Middle East that will just never end. And it'll be a decade or 2 decades long thing.
Yeah, I agree. So, well, what do you think we should do in Iran?
In Iran,
Yeah, Iran.
well, if in a perfect world, what I would do is I would have, in Donald Trump's first term, I would have honored the JCPOA. I would have left that in place. I would have allowed inspections of nuclear facilities to take place anytime, anywhere. And I would have ironed out the other issues through sanctions and diplomacy. And
So you're
so,
the new president. You come in, you replace Donald Trump.
uh-huh.
Do you go to Iran and say, "Look, can we uh can we
I
make
would go
friends?
back.
Can we
I would
make
go,
friends?"
Yeah. Well, I don't know if friends is the right word, but I would say let's go back to the terms of the JCPOA. Um,
And they go, "Fuck you."
yeah, they'll say fuck me, but either, that was able to accomplish much more than anything that Donald Trump has gotten out of this disastrous, stupid, humiliating, defeating war. Uh,
Folks, this is what lies do. When
yeah.
you start telling things that are not true.
Well, yeah,
Like
and
this, people, I don't know about you, but I've heard people from Staten Island all the time going, well, that deal that Obama made. And I'm like, how is it bad? Well, they they gave him all this like mounds of money. What was the
that was
air?
their
Remember he
money.
said there was an airplane full of money.
It was,
Um,
but it was their money.
yeah, so it was just kind of like they gave them the mounds of money, and they're going to make uranium anyway, and I'm like, no, they have inspectors, and they're like,
They're,
yeah,
well,
yeah, right.
Well, that number one, that was their money. There was their money that was frozen in assets from 1979 forward. And so part of the deal was to unfreeze some of those assets. And that's part of diplomacy. That's part of negotiating. You give and take. And so if unfreezing some of their assets means that we have a reliable way to ensure that that a nuclear weapon is not produced, then that's a trade worth making.
And according to Donald Trump, that's his number one thing. He doesn't want them to have a nuclear weapon.
Well, if he did, then if that was really a priority of his, he would have kept JCPOA.
Yes, he would. But he
And
hates Obama more.
yeah, he hates Obama more.
Who
And
opened his center today?
yes, he did. He opened his presidential library. And I will catch the full ceremony later. I did see some clips here and there of it. I know that there was a section in his library dedicated to Nancy Pelosi. Um,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Let's go. Let's take a trip to Chicago.
We'll do a trip. We'll do it. I
Let's
wanna
do
go
a
see the,
political geek week and
yeah,
go see and we'll go see Janelle and get some more pizza and we had
yeah.
fun in Chicago,
We
even though
did.
it
We
was
were only there a
overnight.
night. Yeah, we were only there overnight. Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, we could do that. I would do that. Um, we'll go see it, and I think it's called Nancy Pelosi Garden or something.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was fun. And then I know when Michelle was speaking today, she mentioned the fact very pointedly that Barack Obama, President Obama, got a Nobel Peace Prize. You know, something. Donald Trump has a regifted Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
He has a regifted Nobel Peace
He is
Prize.
a FIFA.
He has, well, and also the woman from Venezuela gave him hers.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about her. Where is she? Is she president? No. What is she doing these days? Besides
Oh,
not having a prize because she gave it to Sarah.
uh, yeah. She doesn't have a prize, but she gave Trump's hers, thinking that he would install her in power. And of course, like everybody else who makes a deal with Donald Trump, they get the shit
They-
end of the stick.
Except Iran. They're the only
Yeah.
far they
Oh yeah, they really rolled him.
well, what, oh my God, where's my thought right here? What am I saying? Never mind. Keep talking. Sorry.
No, it's okay. Well, I think I'm actually, I think I'm getting to the end here, but what do you think?
I am too. I'm gonna have to go to the bathroom soon. Folks, I don't know if you realize this, but we've been talking. We did two shows back to back. Like I said, this is kind of like the f Friday on The View, you know. We do
Yeah.
two shows back to back. And I only know that because when I was on The View, Donald Trump was on The View too, but he
He
was on the
was?
next day. He was on The View. When I was leaving, he was coming into the dressing room. He was coming in, and I had asked, like, I thought the show, they're like, no, we film a second show. So, and it was the Friday show. So he was on the Friday show. So
Oh,
I I didn't see him, but I heard he was coming in. So this was years ago, folks, before he was president. Um, but they had JD Vance on. So before we leave, I watched JD Vance. I was like, oh my God, I got to see this. I Hulu'd it. Um, and I have to say they were kind. They were nice. Like you know,
Anna
they
Navarro
played
got
nice,
him.
I guess.
Anna Navarro got
What?
him a few times. She got in a few zingers, Anna Navarro.
A little bit. Well, they all got a few zingers, but I thought he did well too. I think he played the game really well. He was kind of like, I'm here to sell a book, you know, and blah blah blah. And but they all made nice. It was weird. It was weird theater. Except Whoopi Goldberg looked like I think she was just pissed he was on
Mhm.
and uh and she was just following her script. She's like, all right, we gotta go to the, like we gotta go to commercial now. She got pissed at Anna for something because they had to go to commercial and Anna kept talking.
Well,
Um,
I read in the book The Ladies Who Punch, it was a book about The View, where he interviewed a bunch of different co-hosts over the years that she gets like agitated when the conversation is going a little bit longer, and then somebody in her ear is saying, "Oh, we got to wrap it up."
yeah, because that's her job. She's
Yeah,
like, because she's got to say, all right, because she's kind of the steerer.
she's the
So
moderator. Yeah,
yeah, so and then I saw her go like to Anna, like, why would you do like, like kind of frustrated. But yeah, he went on The View, so interesting. So
yeah.
interesting.
Well, I'm sure he was wearing more eyeliner than all of them combined.
Well, I have to say this because I was on The View too. Whoever does the makeup does a good job because I closed my eyes and I went and I woke up and go, oh my God, hello. So
Well, he was. Well, he's.
sure they did a good job with his eyeliner. So
My favorite podcast, the I've Had It podcast, they call him the smoky-eyed sociopath, JD Vance.
well, I think this. I thought him going on the show was of course for him because he wants to be vice president, and I think he's starting his campaign to say I can play ball with other people. So he went on that show. Of course, he's selling a book, but he's also showing that he's being a good Catholic. Like apparently the book is not as all political, it's more about faith.
Yeah.
And I think he's starting his I can be president tour. And
I think his stock is falling inside the administration. I think little Marcos is on the rise.
yeah,
I think everything he does, he face plants. He goes to Iran, he face plants. He goes to a Turning Point event. Hardly anybody shows up. Even Erica Kirk ditches it, and so that's a face plant.
well,
Uh,
we'll see how his book sells.
well, I'm sure that'll be a face plant too. And his book is about converting to Catholicism. There's a Presbyterian church on the front of it. So like is a face plant city everywhere. He's just totally uncharismatic. He is totally unlikable. He is a total puppet whore of Peter
He tried to
Thiel.
tell a joke on the show and it just bombed.
He's
But
a total puppet of Peter Thiel and Palantir in the tech industry. They want him. They want Donald Trump to be 25th Amendment or to be, otherwise dealt with so they could have a puppet fully in there.
well, of course they do. But they all have their, the reasons for wanting to have them in office. Because of what they're going to do yeah, I have like a tiny bit of crypto. I want to get out of it, but it's so low right now. I'm losing so much, not so much money. I'm talking like I'm losing $400, and I don't want to lose $400.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm waiting to hopefully I can regain a little bit of it. But like this week, I need some money, and I'm like, oh, maybe I should just sell it and get a loss. But like it's just going up and down because of this craziness that with this administration. So, um,
Well,
but
on
yeah,
that,
they love him. So on that note,
yeah, this is the Left in the Forgotten Borough podcast on our second recorded episode of the night.
yes, and so on that note, we're going to end on that note on a crypto note.
Yeah,
Let's
why not?
let's end on how we started with sports. On that note,
Let's go.
congratulations to the New York Knicks.
Yes, and to New
Uh,
York City and New York State. Somebody said, well, what it's like to wake up in the Republic of Mamdani Stan.
yeah, he's having a good year, and and he's doing some good stuff. So good for
Yeah.
him. But congratulations to the Knicks and getting their keys to the city. And I hope we have a good rest of the World Cup.
Yeah.
And good luck
I
to the
hope,
countries, whoever makes the final.
and
I'm
I
going
hope,
for Norway.
yeah. Well, I'm hoping that if the Knicks have to go to the White House, they are not, um, I hope somebody thinks better of them than to place them behind Donald Trump because
Yeah,
with that ungodly smell.
I hope they
Um,
don't go.
but
I hope he forgets. Like,
well, on that note, this is the Left of the Forgotten Borough podcast. I'm Andrew Savage.
and I'm Nancy Richards, and we're going to the bathroom.
Yeah.